I'm John Schmidt.
Stephen Sharp Nelson, we're the Piano Guys, and we are so excited to announce that we're teaming up with the TV series Truth and Conviction in order to bring to life a story that needs to be told. Tell them about this story.
Absolutely. This is a story of a German teenager named Helmut Hübner who stood up to Hitler in World War II, and I have a family connection. My mom was his friend way back in 1941.
This is a heroic story, right? And
Absolutely.
Even more than that, and these are the kind of stories that need to be told, that our kids need to inspire them. This is the role model that they need to know that they can stand up for things too, right?
Absolutely.
And become the best that they could be. So I love that we're dads, so we love finding stories like this, and we've never really done something like this before, teaming up with a project like this, but
Because we believe in it.
Yeah, we were compelled to.
This is a story that needs way more than 90 minutes, and I'm so glad that it's going to be a mini-series, and it's the same people that did The Chosen.
Team members that have done John Adams, Stranger Things. Now, here's the cool part though. Just like The Chosen, you can be a part of this. Go to angel.com/truth to back this project.
And get part of the equity as
Right.
well.
We got to get back to practicing.
That's
Yeah.
right.
Yeah. That's better, yeah. Ooh, yeah. No. That's probably good. Yeah. Welcome, everybody. Welcome. This is so exciting. We've hijacked the Truth and Conviction live stream. I'm Stephen Sharp Nelson, and this is...
It is good to be with you. I'm John Schmidt.
We're the Piano Guys, and we want to say hello to all those joining us from our platforms on our live streams as well. This is such an exciting evening. We cannot wait to talk about the things that we have prepared to talk about. And guess what? We're right here at Angel Studios. That's right, the same studios that brought you The Chosen. This is it. I don't think this is where they filmed it, but this is where they did a lot of the work. Yeah. And guess what, John? I called the director of the Truth and Conviction series, and he usually ghosts me. He usually doesn't answer my phone call. So I got an anonymous number, and I called him, he answered, and I said, I got him here on the promise that we'd give him food. So we'll figure that out. Oh my gosh. Matt Whitaker, would you come in here?
Matt Whitaker?
Ladies and gentlemen, round of applause for Matt Whitaker, wherever you are. Give him a round of applause. Standing ovation. I see some standing ovations out there. Welcome.
Good to see you.
Thank you so much.
I want a head shake too. This is so fun to be on this live stream with you.
Thank you. Where's the food?
Yeah.
It's coming. Food's in the mail. Yeah, like the check. Yep.
Well, you guys, this is so awesome. If we're going to have our live stream hijacked, having you do it is the best thing ever.
Best compliment I've ever been given.
If I want a hijacker, you're the man. Thank you. And to our Truth and Conviction fans and Angel Studio fans and even our Fight for Fighting fans, last week we had Fight for Fighting on and had a bunch of their fans coming in, so I'm sure we've got some Fight for Fighting fans that are joining us. So anyway, to everybody, welcome. It's so good to have everyone here. I was just telling you guys just before we started rolling that everybody that's been watching this for a while knows that this has been a journey for a lot of us trying to, working to kind of push that boulder up the hill and get this story made and out to the world. But I've had these little pipe dreams along the way. It's like, oh, wouldn't it be cool if one day this could happen, One of those was knowing that, John, as was said in that little, in the little vignette beforehand, that you have a family connection, to a very personal connection to this story.
Right.
And I knew that because I had interviewed your mother all those years ago. And I just had this little pipe dream that someday, wouldn't it be great to be able to partner up with the Piano Guys and have their involvement.
So honored. Thank you.
Completely agree.
And I was just even thinking about we had that first Zoom call where we kind of all got on that Zoom call and started talking about, could this work? Is this something that, frankly, I was thinking, I hope they might be interested. And it was so rewarding to hear your genuine interest. Of course, because of the family connection, but when I brought up the music connection and Mendelssohn.
Yeah.
And then you you and I started riffing on that. So
Oh, and we went on for a while.
I know. I
too,
think
eh?
people had to shut us up.
Yeah, exactly. We got to turn the Zoom call down. Yeah.
I am so excited that this history is being told of my family history. I mean, it's just like, I feel spoiled. I really do.
Well, and we talked
It's
about this so
amazing.
many times. I mean, we're musicians certainly, but before that, we're husbands, we're dads. We're dads. We're concerned dads with watching what our youth are having to go through and what they're trying to be force-fed through via social media, and to see stories like this and know they need to be told and know they can be inspirational to our children and the upcoming generation is so compelling to us that we felt as if we were already a part of this even when we started talking the first time.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah, and we were, and that's what I'm hoping, that people, as they learn the intricacies of this story and how incredible it is, they will want to be a part of this too, just like we did.
Yeah, and I feel exactly the same way, and I do want to dive into a little bit of a conversation with you, John, about a little bit more about that family connection. But before I do that, I did, again, as some of you may be aware, it is now open. The investment round in this project, in Truth and Conviction, is open, and so anybody who, we had a whole bunch of people. We had over 7,000 people who expressed interest in the project.
Incredible.
It was over $6 million of expressed interest.
Yeah.
And now all those people, if they would like, have the opportunity to invest.
I'm so glad that's open. That is so exciting. That's wonderful. And anybody can still join at this point, right?
Yeah, so you don't have to have already expressed interest. You can, if you're coming in tonight for the first time, you can just go to angel.com/truth, and there you'll see the site. I don't know if, Esther, can you bring up the, what that landing site? There you go. So we can see. So that's live right now. So
that's wonderful. That's so good. And we've actually thrown our hat into this ring as well. We're associate producers on this project. So this isn't just some haphazard endorsement. We are all in this, in fact. And that's why we want people to join in on this storytelling project to make it a reality. And we are so confident that this is going to get to the screen, but we want people who are just as interested in these stories to be told to be part of this project too.
Yeah.
I love how it's this, it's no longer this top-down thing. It's just this wonderful opportunity for all of us to be storytellers together.
Yeah. Oh, I love the way you just put that. Yeah, that's exactly right. And when we say investor, I think sometimes people think, oh, well, I can't be an investor in a movie. That's the cool thing about what Angel Studios has done. That's this door that's been unlocked.
Yes.
Because yes, some people are going to come in and say, yeah, I'm going to invest $25,000 or whatever. But some people are going to say, I can invest $100.
I got $100.
Yeah, I can do that, and I can put that in, and they are going to be part owners just along with everybody else.
This is crowdfunding 2.0.
It really is. It's not hey, donate and get a T-shirt.
Yeah,
kind of thing.
exactly.
No.
That's what I mean. This has gone another level because these people who are joining are becoming they're owning equity in the project. Isn't that correct to say that?
Yeah.
So that's an exciting opportunity. You're right. It's not just hey, I'm going to put my stamp of approval on this and excitement, and I'm going to get a T-shirt. This is like, I'm part of this.
Yeah. And that's, anyway, just so cool and
Great.
so exciting, the momentum we have. But again, having said all that, I wanted to kind of jump back a little bit. I mean, people have seen, I know there's been that video out of the conversation that you and I had a couple weeks ago. Just
My
about,
kids saw it.
Oh, they
I came
did?
home and they're like, we saw your interview about your mom.
What did they say about
They
it?
were so touched.
That is
And
awesome.
I was like, oh, I wish I could have seen it with them. I wish I could have watched them.
They know this story, but to see it portrayed even at that level, I mean, we're only at level 1, and this is going to be at level 10 in the end, but just that they were touched at level 1.
Yeah, and to see my mom interviewed, that was such a cool thing for them to see.
For just to kind of recapture, for those who didn't get to see it yet, I'll just kind of recapture very quickly. 20 years ago, when I was doing the research for this incredible story that I found, that I thought I discovered, and finding out about all these people who were still alive and knew Helmut personally and everything, and interviewed this wonderful woman named Lieselotte Schmidt. And I can remember even at that time, because she was a teenager with them in Nazi Germany. And I remember at that time her talking about, her son, John Schmidt, and I kind of put it together, because my kids were playing incessantly. They were playing
Waterfall.
Waterfall, yeah.
Sorry about that.
Yeah, no, it was, and of
I'm
course
not.
we like. Yeah, I was gonna say. So I knew who that was, you know, and I just thought it was so cool, this connection. And anyway, on that same day that we interviewed your mother, I believe it was in her home. Interviewed your mother. Her sister came over, Hilde, and who had also grown up with the boys and knew them. And going back and looking at those interviews that we did with your mother and your aunt about their recollections of life in Nazi Germany, their recollections of what Helmut and Karl and Rudy were like, the fact that your mother was boyfriend-girlfriend with Rudy, you know, and I had forgotten that after they were captured and sentenced, and when Karl and Rudy were in prison camps, he carried a photo of your mother with him. That was his...
Right next to his heart.
Yeah, that was his source of, oh, he wanted to get home. That's who I'm going to get home and I'm going to marry, you know? Which there's another story there. That didn't happen, but he ended up being your uncle,
Right.
which is just beautiful. I went back and rewatched the interview that we did with your aunt. And in both of those interviews, one of the things that really jumped out at me this time was how your grandparents, so their parents were, in their way, they were resistance fighters. And the way that they did that was that they had Jewish friends over. Neighbors would say, hey, you can't do that. And your dad would say, I don't care what you think because these are my friends and they're Jewish and they're coming to my house. You know, that was a brave thing to do at that point, to see,
Amazing.
Yeah, to see that kind of a commitment there. In the interview with your mom, so an important part of the series and the way we're telling this story is a young man, a Jewish man who was friends with Helmut and Karl and Rudy named Salomon Schwartz.
Yeah.
And his experience, he actually had converted to the same faith that they were a part of, and so went to church, you know, the same place that they did.
Together, yeah.
Your Aunt Hilda talked about that. She even shared insights that I didn't know before, which was that Salomon Schwartz went to your mother's home all the time, that he helped your aunt with her homework. You know, little things like that I just thought, you know, this was a real person, you know. He wanted to be a school teacher, you know. I want to, if it's okay, I would like to show a clip from
to watch that.
From that interview.
Wonderful.
And then we can talk about it afterwards. But it gives, I think, a real insight into what it meant. Well, it gives a real insight into who Salomon was, but also who your family were.
Yeah, what a treat! And I loved my Aunt Hilda. She was such an angel, such an angel.
Can I ask how long ago she passed away?
She passed away about a year ago.
So she just recently, okay.
Yeah.
So this is an interview that was done with her 20 years ago.
Okay.
And as she shares an experience that she had at the church with your father involved and with Salomon. Okay, go ahead and cue that up.
We came to church and my dad saw a sign on the door which said, Der Zutritt für Juden ist verboten. In other words, Jews not allowed. Well, that was something for my dad. He tore that sign down, went in, and told the congregation, we have no business worshiping in here. We have no right to pray in the name of Jesus Christ and have this sign up because Christ was a Jew. So, and I knew it was mainly aimed at one of our dear friend, Salomon Schwartz. He was a half-Jew, and he had to wear the bandana with a Jewish star on it. Therefore, he met with so much rejection. Even they told us, or he told us once, he was even spat on. And because of that, our family befriended him especially. I remember him often in our home, and sometimes he even helped me with my homework. And then came the time, at first they let the Jews just walk around and just with that bandana, with a star on, but later they just put him into a concentration camp. All of a sudden we didn't know where he was, and I was standing one day with my sister Lygia on the train station in Hamburg, Hasselbrook Bahnhof, and a train came driving by slowly. I saw Salomon Schwartz in that train standing. I saw his Jewish star. Our eyes shortly met. That picture will never go out of my mind. And I just hollered, Salomon! Just like that. And I was so touched because I knew, you know, what he was up against. And then the train passed by and he was never seen or heard again. And we know he was killed in the concentration camp. And he was one fine person.
Have you heard that story before?
I haven't heard that story.
That's heartbreaking.
Yeah, it's again, it's this little, it's like a time capsule for me. As close as we can come to traveling back in time and saying what were Solomon's final moments, or, you know, who was the last person to see him alive, and to have that record of your aunt's memory of seeing him on that train as he went eventually to Auschwitz. It's just...
And I'm so proud of my grandpa, you know, for the courage to take that stand.
And to bridge Christianity and Judaism in such a beautiful way, to say Christ was a Jew. What are we doing? No one should ever be unauthorized to walk into a church. That church is about inclusivity. That's what we preach.
And I'm sure
what is going on here?
I'm sure that's what they also felt, is that, you know, everybody is invited.
Yeah.
No one should be excluded of any nationality or background at all. I'm sure that's what my aunt was meaning to say.
Yeah, yeah.
So
I just love that, and of course it raises even a bigger question, excuse me, or a bigger topic, which is the way the Jews, you know, obviously in Nazi Germany, were excluded. In my research in this project, I remember initially being stunned to find out that Jewish composers were banned. You couldn't, that it was, you know, it was dangerous to your life actually to listen to a composer like Mendelssohn, you know. Or
it was a jailable offense, or even worse.
Right.
In fact, even if the needle dropped on the record and seconds of a composer like Mendelssohn was played, that was it was a crime.
Yeah.
I would love to play some of Mendelssohn's music so people can see what a crime it is that this would be banned. It's so beautiful.
Well, and Mendelssohn has a special bridge here, and I think you mentioned that he's an important composer for many reasons. And for those of you who aren't as familiar with Mendelssohn's work, you would recognize a lot of the compositions. In fact, many times at the end of a wedding, you'd hear his da 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 dun 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 from the Midsummer Night's Dream, and he also hark the herald angels sing. Oh, right. That's his melody, and he is one of the best violin concertos ever written. And my little daughter, 14-year-old daughter Lucy, is learning that violin concerto right now. And it is incredible. It's one of the finest works that's ever been composed. And I get a little emotional because I think about my daughter not being able to play that piece. And you know, we complain about our country sometimes, like it has its problems, and there's mud being slung one way and then the other. But we can listen to whatever music we want to listen to, and we're not at the point where we have banned certain composers because of their religious backgrounds. I think this is still a wonderful place to live, and I think America still has so much promise. And I'm grateful that we have that, and we take it for granted, but I'm grateful that composers like Mendelssohn is free play anytime. And he was born in Hamburg, which is where your parents were born. And which is where Helmut was born.
In fact, I remember thinking, we were talking about, the first time we talked on Zoom, you brought up, when we talked about Mendelssohn, you said his string octet.
Yes.
His string octet, which is just incredible.
It lit me on fire as a teenager, as about Helmut's age, playing that octet. I felt like I was, you know, John also always talks about how music can make you feel like you're flying when you get to the right point. And I felt like I was flying when I was playing that octet. And you were tied to Mendelssohn. Now remind me how you were tied into Mendelssohn.
So my introduction to Mendelssohn is really my thread. I consider it a thread right back to Helmut, because Helmut loved Mendelssohn.
Yeah.
You know, part of his resistance was listening to Mendelssohn. He introduced it to Carl and Rudy, and then through my friendship with Carl, Carl introduced Mendelssohn to me, and I love
And you've fallen in love.
Mendelssohn. So for me, it is this direct little route back to this connection back to Helmut. And to think that, you know, when he wrote that octet we were talking about,
Yes.
Mendelssohn was 16 years old.
Right.
100 years later, more or less, Helmut was 16 years old when he was leading this resistance group. So, you know,
Incredible.
Helmut, his instrument that he picked up was the typewriter.
And then I grew up listening to it in my home.
Oh, did you?
Yeah, and my father sung the German art songs and
Full circle. Full
And,
circle. That's beautiful.
and the songs without words I played growing up. You know, as I studied piano.
This
Played
is
some of his songs without words. They're beautiful.
They're so beautiful. And it's the very soundtrack of resistance, if you really think about it, which is a beautiful notion. And now, just for everybody's context, Mendelssohn, born in 1809,
Right.
died in 1847, only 38 years old. His life was cut short because of a series of strokes that he went through. But he was a kind man. Queen Victoria, in fact, he was her favorite composer, and she loved his work, but also his personality. He was this very sweet man that composed fantastic works, and he was the one that actually came up with, why do classical pieces have to be so absolute? Can we make them more accessible by making them like songs, but let the instruments be the voice? And that's where this song without words comes from, is he was asserting the fact that the piano could sing. And it was the first time any composer had ever done that. He was very influenced by Beethoven. In fact, he brought Bach's music back. Did you know that?
No.
Bach died in 1750, and his music kind of went into relative obscurity, but he helped to bring it back because he insisted on it being performed. And people started to fall in love. Can you imagine that? Mendelssohn just helping people to fall in love with Bach's music that we love today.
And to think that he was a teenager while he was doing
Yes,
that, teenager and in his
exactly.
20s.
Right,
you know,
right.
when he is, bringing those things back and really kind of revolutionizing
Yeah.
the music. Yeah.
Well, I think we should play a little song.
Oh, my God.
We'll do the Opus 19, which is, he's rewrote so many of these. And in fact, his sister Fanny Mendelssohn also wrote Song Without Words too, which she was a great composer. But this is Opus 19, which is one of the most recognizable ones. But I want, those of you listening with us today, I want you to imagine such a beautiful piece of music being banned, and find any fault with this piece of music, other than maybe some mistakes that we'll make, because that's inevitable.
We're sight reading.
Yeah, exactly. But
And it's live.
But just get lost in the beauty of this music, and just get deep into the gratitude that you feel for where you live, what you get to do, and what you get to listen to. This is Mendelssohn's Song Without Words, Opus 19. It's transcendent, isn't it? Can you imagine Helmut listening to this and wanting his country to embrace music and art that is from everyone, and not being able to, and having to listen to it in secret rebellion,
Yeah.
and being taken away, being flown away to a better place as he listened to this?
And inviting his friends in and saying, you have to listen to this.
Yeah.
Yes, it's dangerous, but listen to this.
And that's just one small part of this incredible story, Matt, that you're going to be telling. in this, the Truth and Conviction story. There are so many twists and turns and plot elements to this. That's only one small element, and a beautiful one it is.
It really is. Thank you. And yes, as soon as we start talking about the twists and turns in this series, in the Truth and Conviction series, where it's now a 4-part, as we were talking about earlier, it's a 4-part limited series.
Right.
So
In fact, I'm hoping that my mom makes the cut.
Oh, wait, who are you going to be casting for John's mom?
So I can't say anything live. But
Yes,
man,
of course,
It's in
we
the
understand.
works. It's in the works.
How cool is that? How cool is
I'm
that?
thinking Glenn Close, maybe.
Yeah,
Yeah,
perfect.
someone, Kate Blanchett, someone that's just sort of second tier. Yeah.
Isn't that something?
That's great.
So yeah, just the elements of band music and Mendelssohn and all that lead all the way to the very end of episode 4 in a very poignant and powerful way that I'm excited to share and excited for people to see. If you want to help us get this made, go to angel.com/truth. You can invest in this project, and obviously my opinion, but man, what a worthwhile thing to, if we're looking for a meaningful investment, what a worthwhile thing to invest in. So.
Well, and you're bringing this story to life, but you get to, if in your family, you can tell your parents, your sisters, your brothers, your children, if you have them, sit them down and say, I made this.
Yeah.
I made this possible. And that's, I don't mean that in a trite way. I mean that they would really take ownership of this in a way that is gratifying and enjoyable, and they're proud, something they're proud of, because we're going to put everything we've got into this, aren't we?
Oh man, yeah. Have been and will continue to. Yes.
And we've got just about the A list that you can think of people to help out with this. Tell them some of the people that you're getting involved with this project so that they feel the credibility of it.
Yeah, you bet. Yeah. So first and foremost, my partnership with Kaleidoscope Pictures.
Yeah.
So Russ Kendall and John Foss and the whole team at Kaleidoscope, which have been producing other amazing World War II films. There's a World War II film called Instrument of War, which I actually wrote the script for.
I love that movie.
Which, the story about a violinist who, as a prisoner of war in Germany, makes a violin.
In a prisoner of war camp.
In a prisoner of war camp,
Yeah.
and actually plays it in the camp. I remember when I first heard that story and thought, okay, so a violin, some boxy little piece. I've seen the real thing.
It's
It's
right.
this
I've seen pictures of
beautiful,
it.
beautiful violin that he made, and when he played it in the camp, and especially at Christmas time, played it, it became this instrument of peace between the German soldiers, guards, and these American and British prisoners of war. So anyway, those guys, we're partnering with a wonderful partner in Lithuania who was very involved in other productions like John Adams and Chernobyl and those kinds of things. And so it really is this wonderful A-team that's coming together to tell a story that we all know would be wonderful to tell. So anyway, that's just obviously I'm very excited and I think something that we're all passionate about.
Well, and I actually, to be transparent, before I wanted John and I and the piano guys to sign on this, I kind of needed to see some track record, because I was worried that it would be sort of that, we all have felt the low budget awkwardness.
Yeah. Yes.
When you watch something and you're just cringy, it's called the cringy thing, right? Where you're just, you're biting your knuckle and you say, well, it's a good message, but boy, this is tough to get through. And that is not the case. I have seen your work, and that is why we're part of this too, because we believe in your work and we've seen how good it is. And we know that this is going to be so credible, but it'll be so beautiful. It will not be distracting from the story. It will be catalyzing for the story. I think it'll bring it to life in a way that only it should be.
Thank you. Yeah. Can I jump over to take us back to the music, another
Sure.
little element of the music, which is
Yeah.
another important part of the story. I can remember when I sat down with Carl for an interview on June 6th, 2001, so 21 years ago, just over 21 years ago. One of the things he said, I asked him, I said, Carl, why did you guys do this? You were putting your lives at risk. Why did you guys do this? And his response kind of startled me. He said, we grew up every Sunday going to church singing that old Christian hymn, do what is right, let the consequence follow. And he said, and that's what Helmut did, and that's what we did. We were trying to do what was right, come what may. And so that song, and I had grown up singing the same song. Of course, I didn't think of it in that context, Yeah. But so that song, that old Christian hymn, "Do What Is Right, Let the Consequence Follow," has become an important part of the series as well. That the first time we see them at their little church and their little congregation, that's what they're singing, And it comes back and plays throughout, each episode.
Yeah.
And so I want to share something with everybody, if you guys are okay with this. When we met together for the first time and shot some stuff together a couple weeks ago, we were talking about this song, "Do What Is Right." And if you remember, you just kind of said, "Hey, let's play it. Let's just do it." And just like kind of impromptu, sat down and together, playing by ear, played that song. And we had the cameras rolling. And
Tell me, I remember there was sort of this silent moment at the end. That was really fun. I do remember there was sort of a silent moment at the end, and you seemed to sort of be in this, you were very touched. You seemed to be sort of in this zone. What was going on then? I wanted to ask you, in fact, what was happening inside you?
Because I had looked forward and hoped for so long that there would be this moment that we'd be able to sit down and play music together and to share that story with you. And then to have it taken one step further where you both said, "Yeah, hey, let's try this. Let's do." So should we watch that video of just of you?
Oh, okay,
just impromptu playing "Do What Is Right, Let the Consequence Follow."
Sure.
Esther, if you want to cue that up, we'll just take a quick look.
Not bad. I mean, the pianist was great. The pianist needs a little work, but I think it was pretty nice. It was a fun little impromptu moment.
Yeah, again, for me, as you mentioned, afterwards, I just sat there kind of in stunned silence for a moment because of what you had just done, but also because of what it felt like. It's like
And how much this is just threaded through this journey of how many years did you say? I'm sorry.
21 years now?
21 years of trying to bring this to life. And that hymn probably recurring in your head along that journey. What an appropriate anthem to be played for this then.
And so, as we look at what Helmut and Carl and Rudy did, choosing the right, let the consequence follow, as we look at what your grandparents and your mother and her family did, standing up for the Jews, come what may, those kinds of things, and then it raises the question for each of us, what do we do? What are we going to do? What's our way of choosing the right and letting the consequence follow? And I just think that's if we can take anything from this live stream tonight, I think it would be great for each of us and for all of our viewers out there to think, okay, what can I do
In my situation.
to stand up for what's right, come what may?
Yeah.
So I love that. Well, John and Stephen, thank you so much for hijacking our live stream.
It was our privilege and honor. Thanks, Matt, for just spending some time with us and not ghosting me on that call.
Well, yeah, no.
Yeah.
And I am going to follow up about the food, but
Okay, yeah, we'll get there.
I don't know if we have, Esther, do we have a couple questions? Okay, great. Do you have time for just to answer a couple questions?
that'd be great.
Absolutely, yeah,
Oh,
we love
wow,
that.
this is
And thanks everybody for joining us
This
too,
is
once again.
my cousin that I love so much.
Oh, that's awesome.
Viola, loved seeing my mom, Hilda. I'm so happy you're bringing this poignant story I grew up hearing to the next generation.
that is
And I have to
so
say,
cool.
Viola and her mom, Hilda, they were such supporters of my music from the earliest days on. Sometimes they would be helping sell tickets. They would tell their friends. They've just been angels in my life. Viola, love you.
She was the one I think I bought one of your tapes from out of the trunk of her car once.
Exactly.
Yeah, right. That's great. Okay, so it says, so TPG are doing the soundtrack, right? Well, I don't know. I mean, we'll work on that. There's talk that we might be involved a little bit in the musical aspect of this because it's only fitting that we are. But suffice it to say that we are associate producers of this project and we'll be intricately involved in all parts, not just the music.
Right.
Yeah.
That's right. So thank you for those. Oh, let's see, we've got another question here.
Janet, thank you, Janet, for joining us. How many episodes will there be in the series? And it's live actors, right?
Yes.
Okay.
So, Janet, thank you. That's a great question.
Yeah.
This will be a 4-part limited series, so 4 episodes, and
of how long each, so they can get an
each one
idea?
will be about 45 minutes to an hour.
45 minutes, okay.
Kind of like if you've watched Queen's Gambit or Chernobyl
Just
or some of those.
typical length of a series.
Of one of those series. Yeah. And then, and yes, it will be with actors. So this will be a dramatic limited series. We're going to be casting actors out of the UK, British actors, wonderful young British actors. And really looking forward to that. So Janet, thank you for that question as well.
Good clarification. Yeah.
There you go. Okay, let's see. Thank you, Sarah Kushu, for this question. When do you anticipate the movie coming out?
Okay, that's actually a really great question
Yeah,
from
so
a production standpoint.
the hope is, in fact, of course, we don't know exactly when it is, but the hope is, and the plan is that, and it looks like we're going to be filming in Lithuania next late spring, early summer.
Okay.
And shooting then.
Wonderful.
And what we'd love to do, so last week on October 27th was the 80th anniversary of Helmut Hübner's execution, right?
Okay.
And we were in Germany for that, and we're going to be showing an incredibly powerful video coming up that we took of that experience.
Yeah.
But our hope is, and wouldn't it be cool if episode 1 were to premiere on October 27th of 2023.
So that's the goal.
That's
we
the
can
goal.
make that.
Yeah, and that's what we're going to be shooting for together, and and with, of course, again, the beauty of it, it's with your help.
Support.
And support that we're able to do that. If you get a chance, go check out angel.com/truth. And see if this is something that you would like to invest in.
And again, we don't want to harp on this too much, but we want to stress that this is not a donation per se. This is involved in the very equity of this project, investing in it. So that would mean that there's potential returns to be had, and that's important for them to understand that you're investing in the project, not just simply throwing a few dollars at it in hopes that it'll help us get it done.
That's right.
Yeah.
Thank you for that.
Will it be on PBS? That's an interesting question.
Good question, and we don't have a definitive answer for that. It'll be, first of all, on Angel's platforms and streaming, it's very similar to the way The Chosen is.
Right.
But also, at some point, being seen in other venues and being sub-licensed, is the way they call it, to other formats and other venues. So could be on PBS, could be in other venues as well.
Than's for that question,
yeah,
Tiffany. I
great
love this.
question.
Again, think pay it forward sort of model, which is what The Chosen groundbreakingly did with that series. So there's pay it forward model of making it possible for more and more people to see this. And now The Chosen has been watched by millions and millions of people all around the world by using the same model that we plan to use for Truth and Conviction.
That's exactly right.
Yeah, which is
exactly right.
Okay, we have, let's see, sorry, Bonita. Bonita is asking, will it be in theaters or on TV?
And again, kind of a similar answer in that it'll hopefully at some point be in theaters. We know it'll be on TV.
Yeah.
It'll be, everybody I think that knows The Chosen knows that season 3 they're going to open episodes 1 and 2 in the theaters.
I'm going to be there.
Yeah. So we're all going to go and watch that.
Yep, absolutely.
And so of course we're looking at that as the Truth and Conviction series, saying, okay, that's a target for us. It'd be great to have. Maybe less as a, hey, let's try and open it up in 2,000 screens across the country. It's not a Marvel movie, but it could be a community celebration.
Great.
Where all these people that have invested in the project, that have been, cheering us on.
The red carpet.
Come to the premiere, those kinds of things. So
the China Theater thing.
So,
okay, so Wendy, and we didn't plant Wendy, but Wendy, you're the best. What's the URL? We got to make sure that Thank you, Wendy.
Angel.com/truth.
Angel.com/truth.
That's right.
And it'll explain it all to you there.
Yeah, that's where you can go and actually get a lot of information about, more information than we're able to give here in this setting, but more information not only about the investment, but a lot about the project, the history of the project, what the series is going to be like. So again, thank you for that question, and that's where you need to go, angel.com/truth. Oh man, we've got good questions here. Okay, so
I don't want to mispronounce your name. I think
Shelley.
Yeah. Thank you again for letting us support this project. Will merch be available? Loved the shirts you wore, and I need to add my TPG.
Add to my TPG collection.
Oh, add to my TPG collection. Okay, great. That's fantastic. Should we have a shirt with maybe Matt and John's picture on it? That would be really nice. And I could be on the back.
You'll be on the back.
Yeah, just small. Yeah.
Merch.
Merch.
At some point, we will. We have, for the 80th, the commemoration of the 80th anniversary of Helmut's execution, and when we were in Germany, we wore these shirts that said, let's see, I got to get this right, 27/10/42,
Okay.
and then the word remember through that. So the 27th of October, 1942.
Okay.
And just this really beautiful design, and I'm confident that at some point, people will have the opportunity to purchase those as well.
And then when people ask you what that means, you have the opportunity to tell the story.
That's what this project's about.
I love that,
And
right? Spreading the story.
That's right. And everything is about remembering, you know.
And we're definitely going to do Mendelssohn bobbleheads too, right? Yeah. Felix bobbleheads. I
love it.
Dashboards, they'll be all over the place.
Okay, merch people, you're listening to that, right? That's great.
Okay, Shayna, you should do a medley of Do What Is Right and a Mendelssohn piece. She knows our jam. She knows our jam. That's a great suggestion. Let us know when you have it done, and we'll make sure to perform that. No, that's a great idea. Maybe that's going to be on the soundtrack, perhaps.
Could be a really cool soundtrack, you know. And as I look at the incredible musicians that are gathering to this project, like I say, we have Five for Fighting last week, and you here this week, and I just think, I mean, there could be a really cool soundtrack. We'll see what happens with that, but
That's awesome.
Love that. Okay, we've got. Will that violin story be going into the movie?
Into this movie? Well, she's talking about the Instrument of War.
Instrument of War, yeah. So if you check out Instrument of War, which is where that violin story I was telling you about, there you can see it. It's incredibly powerful. This series has its own story to tell, especially and weaving in the music and those kinds of things. So. Yeah. Okay, my kitten enjoys this music very much. He looked absolutely charmed when it began playing. K.A. Fleury.
I get to do meow or something on my cello in honor of that kitten.
Well, thank you, you guys. I don't know if you want to take us out with some riffing or a Mendelssohn or whatever, but thank you both so much. It means the world to me that you're here and that you're
another shot at the Mendelssohn.
I love being in the same room with you because I wish everybody could feel what we're feeling now in this room. I love your conviction to this project, and I love the spirit that you carry, and that it's so genuine, and that it's this authentic desire to make the world a better place via storytelling. And we have confidence in you, and I know that these people will have confidence in you as they invest in this project and make it a reality. And this is going to be a fun moment to look back on as we're all on the red carpet ready to see the premiere of this, which I am fully confident in. And so we're just grateful we get to be part of this.
I'm
Thank you for that.
excited to meet your wife over here.
The true hero of this project.
The true inspiration.
Who probably said,
behind
Matt, are we still doing this after 21 years?
No,
You know what?
She is the reason that you kept going,
That
which
is
is a
absolutely
really
true. She's the
special
one.
story to hear.
When I was ready to give up time after time, quite frankly, she's the one that said, "Nope, we're still making your movie, right?"
She's the
We're still
conviction
making your
part of truth and conviction.
Yes, she is.
That's incredible.
So at some point, I wouldn't embarrass her tonight, but I'll bring her and pull her into frame so that everybody can meet the real rock behind this whole project.
Awesome. Wonderful. That'll be a fun thing.
So.
Well, good night, everybody. Thanks so much for being part of this. And remember, you can invest in this project. We've said it several times throughout the stream. And we're just going to send you away. But let's play some more Mendelssohn.
I think so.
I think
I
that's
want another shot at it.
Yeah, okay, good. We love you all. Thanks again for being part of this. We'll see you soon.
und Volksgenossinnen. I mean, he had the power in his speeches to move the masses.
As he listens to BBC, he is immediately convinced that they're telling the truth.
My friend Helmut thought that was his Christian obligation to warn the people. And then he opened the door and there comes my friend Rudi. And I said, Rudi, what are you doing here? He is the third in our group. I said, what do you mean the third? Who is the second? And Helmut typed on it, Hitler the murderer, Hitler is the guilty one.
The first thing we see is that he's emerged from some kind of a process as a full-blown anti-Nazi. He puts the prefix VER on the front of the word Führer, which means that Hitler is now the seducer of the people.
I opened the door and there stood two guys with that long dark leather coat, and he lifted up his lapel from the coat and there was the badge, Geheime Staatspolizei, Gestapo. The Nazis, they don't want you to know the truth. The truth was deadly.